for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on? And welcome to episode 390. We are 10 episodes away from episode 400, which is crazy to think about. Of course, we are here tonight to talk some daily fantasy. Of course, we're part of the GoingFor2 Live Network. You can find us here every Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and of course, we're also on GoingFor2.com and all podcast networks. If you're on YouTube watching this, please hit that like, subscribe button. We really appreciate it. It helps us out with our algorithm, gets us seen in more places. Let me introduce my co-host, as always, joining me for the last, 6 or 7 years. We got Tim Strobel up first, man. What's up, Tim?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, Jeff. This is one of my favorite kind of slates, man. I'm so excited to break it down with y'all tonight.
Absolutely. And joining us after his 1-year hiatus, made his comeback last week, Gerson. What's up, man?
What's up? Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this slate. Like I say, on the Facebook group, but Tim knows that value everywhere. Look at that, Woody. Would you look Buzz, whatever it is. I don't want Toy Story, but you know what I mean.
All right, got people checking in the chat already. We got Joe in the chat. We got Mickey in the chat. What's up, guys? Glad you can join us. All right, joining us for the first time on this show, I believe he's been on my Wednesday show. He's never been on my Friday show. Last year, we just couldn't seem to link up to get him onto the DFS show, but I wanted to get him on early this year. Mr. John Hesterman. He is from Fantasy Pros and from DLF Football. We actually last year realized that me and John were both writing the same article for Fantasy Pros. We were both doing value columns for Fantasy Pros. So it was kind of cool to compare notes each week to see who he had in his value column and who I had in mine. What's up, John, man? And thanks for joining the show tonight.
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Always have a good time coming on the show. And yeah, that was fun writing a similar article last year and being able to compare notes before and after the fact and getting the occasional like, oh, I got this one right and Jeff got this one wrong. But more often it was Jeff getting it right and me getting it wrong. But hey, whatever. Who's keeping track?
All right. Well, real quick, just tell our listeners real quick, DLF and Fantasy Pros, what do you do over those places?
So, yeah, DLF, I do a lot of the preseason stuff. Before the points start getting scored, that's where you're going to find my work. I do a lot of the college stuff, breaking down value changes over ADP during the course of after the draft and leading up to the actual start of the season. And then once the season kicks off, I'm doing DFS work for Fantasy Pros.
Good stuff.
And real quick, Jeff, I'll give a shout out to a fellow member of Scott Fishbowl 14, by the way.
Nice. Good stuff. All right. As always, y'all, the show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues, the huge tournaments, private leagues, pick'ems for all major sports. Use our promo code GF2 and get a bonus up to $1,000. I remember that back in the day, it used to be only $100. Now you can get up to $1,000. Use promo code GF2. Just get the app, use that promo code, and you can start putting some pick'ems down there. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the show.
The Weekly Rewind.
All right, the rewind. We always do one good, one bad from the previous week. And John, since you're the guest here, we'll let you go first. What did you have good and what did you have bad last week?
Yeah, I did have a good one last week. In the article my week one article for DFS values, I highlighted Baker Mayfield as being a little gross, but a worthy start. And he ended up finishing as QB2 on the week. So that one came out really, really well. So I'll highlight that as a W.
Good stuff. And what about your one bad?
Andre Yoshivas. I really believe that he was already going to be the Tyler Boyd for that offense with Tyler Boyd no longer there. And it's just, I can't even say that Yoshivas was the problem. That whole offense looked, what's
Terrible.
the word, inept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I chalked that up as a loss, but it was the whole offense, not just Yoshivas.
Yep, absolutely. Tim, what do you got for your one good, one bad?
Yeah, shout out to Mickey in the chat for knowing what I was going to say. Bears D saved me last week. I had Terry McLaurin who did nothing. I had Evan Ingram who did nothing, but paying up for the Bears defense saved me last week. So shout out to everybody who played Bears D.
Good stuff. And what about your one bad?
Yeah, I said it. Terry McLaurin, man. My lock of the week had like 2 points. Like it was just an absolute nightmare situation. So I also advocated, as I said, paying up for Evan Ingram, who got me 1.4. So yeah, we're going a different way this week. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Gerson, what'd you have for your one good, one bad?
My one good, I was all over Baker. I kind of said that he was probably going to be my highest on quarterback. I love Baker last week. I mean, the matchup was there. Two good wide receivers. Washington, I mean, like, it was there. It's just, it wasn't popular at all, though. In the single entrance, I placed top 100, and I mean, he killed it for me. But unfortunately, I would have placed higher if Gary Terry played better. But every point that he didn't get was like a shot in my heart, man. And I love Terry. I think he's a great guy and a great player. But yeah, that was my that was my good.
What
My
about your
bad. I'll be honest. Like I started thinking like. Cause like when you delete the spreadsheet and everything, I had to think about like what was like the bad, it's like like. But then I remember like, I touted Tank Dell, so and I played Tank Dell in a lot of lineups in my single entrance, my 3 max, and then he tanked it, man. I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But,
No pun intended. He tanked
yeah.
it.
Yeah, but he came close. So he almost had a touchdown, but then I guess Stephon did complain like a little diva and probably said, "You better give me the touchdown," But yeah, that was my one bad.
Yeah, so I'll start with my bad because my bad was really everything. Like I was absolutely trashed last week. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. My lineups were terrible. I had a lot of bad I could have chosen from, but I'll take JT. He was my lock of the week. I really thought he can show out after his huge game in the last game of the season last year. We had 180 yards rushing. I thought he'd be something similar to that. Absolutely was not. I had to search long and hard to find one good, and I found Chris Godwin in there. I said Chris Godwin's about $1,000 cheaper than Mike Evans. Obviously, piggybacking on the Baker Mayfield thing, I wish I had played more of Chris Godwin because it wouldn't have been such a bad week for me had I done that. I played too much Terry McLaurin, which they're in the same price range, and I kept clicking Terry McLaurin instead of clicking Chris Godwin, so I should have taken my own advice on that one.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the quarterbacks.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, right here at the top, Tim, give me some of your favorite quarterbacks today or this week.
Yeah, if you're a longtime listener of the show, we love the Jared Goff at home situation. And this one's about as good of a situation as it gets. Rematch of a game we saw in the playoffs where I think there was close to 60 points scored. Vegas total at 51.5 at the moment. But I think this is definitely, their highest implied total on the slate at 29.5. Right. I just love Jared Goff in this spot. The other thing is Tampa Bay, they're not, they're a little stingy against the run, right? They'll give up a few yards, but you really attack them through the air. So I'm going to be heavy on Jared Goff this week.
Yeah, Tim saw the show sheet, and I didn't have home Goff, who everybody knows I'm always the one, touting home Goff. For the record, he would be on the show sheet, but Tim fills his out first, so I let Tim take home Goff this week. But yeah, I'm all over Goff as well. What about you, John? What do you got for one of your favorite quarterbacks?
I really like Stafford this week. I mean, he's forcing people to put players like Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson on their waiver claims after week one in redraft leagues. And yeah, part of that is the absence of Nakua. But at the same time, I mean, part of it is the fact that Stafford can elevate these guys' games. So guess who led the league in pass attempts after week one? Guess who topped the completion percentage chart in week one, 69.4%. Guess who was one of the two players to top 300 passing yards in week one? All Matt Stafford. So I currently have him in my top 12 positional rankings this week. And as the 11th highest salary for the week, I like the odds that Stafford once again makes it happen and is a really good ROI play among the position.
I love it. Great pick there. I had Stafford on my sheet as well. Gerson, what you got for one of your favorite quarterbacks?
Damn it, John. I thought you were going to make me guess, and I was going to say Matthew Stafford. But no, I have Patrick Mahomes. I don't feel like he's getting talked too much, but in reality, for me, that price, we never see it on Patrick Mahomes. I can't remember the last time I saw 7,000 on Patrick Mahomes. I will say this. Every game they play has gone under. So that's like a buyer beware. But I think the arsenal weapon he has now is pretty stout. I mean, Worthy 2 touchdown game. Kelsey's still there. They got Pacheco back there. What the other wide receiver they have? Rashee Rice. I mean, those are some stud weapons that he has all around him. And I don't even think they played that great on opening game. Like he had 291 yards, but a lot of them were big play touchdowns, and it was against the Ravens defense too. But I'll tell you what, not the Ravens defense, the Bengals defense. That Bengals defense is not as good as it looks. What they did against the Patriots, it was trash. Like Jacoby Brissett is not Joe Burrow, So I think this game's going to be shoot out a little bit more. I think it's the second highest total game. I think they're at 50 points. I could be wrong though, but I like this game. And there has been some trash talking in it too. I mean, we have that cornerback saying, "Oh, Worthy can only go north and south." I mean, you just put a hand on him. I'm pretty sure Mahomes going to take notes and be like, "All right, I'm gonna pick on this guy then," And I like this game. I think the value of it, like if you really look at the cost of the stats and like the players that he has, it's pretty cheap. Especially with all the value we have, you can make a lot of things work with that cheap stack running back with one of the players, Yosevar. God dang you, dude. We'll see. We'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. I had Patty on my sheet as well. I'll talk about the last guy on my list that hasn't been talked about yet. Jaden Daniels going to he's at home, his home opener versus New York Giants at 6.2. I mean, passing wise, he was trash, right? I mean, he killed all of any play that you had in that offense of Terry McLaurin, if you went anybody else. But rushing the ball, he had 88 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that trumps everything in fantasy football. So if he can somehow figure out a way to increase his passing efficiency against this very bad Giants defense, while also maintaining his rushing ability, I mean, he could break the slate, right? I mean, if he had 2 touchdowns running last week and 2 touchdowns passing along with those rushing yards, it would have been a whole different game. So at 6.2, I don't think he's gotten to the point where he's too expensive to play yet. And I do still like McLaurin this week. We'll get to him a little bit later in the show sheet. There was a little bit of a narrative spoken in the chat there. We'll talk about that as well. But I do like Jaden Daniels this week at 6.2. Just to mention a couple of guys that were on the sheet that we didn't get to through the first run. Justin Fields is on there going to Denver. Are they at home or are they in? I thought they were in Denver.
I think they're.
But either way, Justin Fields at 5.4 is on there, and then Gerson on the show sheet has Kyler Murray so small that I can barely even read it.
Hilarious, by the way. Well done, sir. That made me chuckle when I saw it. I'm like, all right, I see you.
All right, let's move down into the value tier, Tim. And you've got one guy on there I want you to talk about. He got mentioned in the chat as well.
Yeah, shout out Mickey again, man. It's Baker Mayfield, the run back. We just talked about that game in Detroit, man. I want both sides of that game. I think there's easy ways to stack both sides, and it's going to be hard to run the ball on both sides, right? So play the quarterbacks and stack through them. So, yeah, Baker is 5,900, I think. You think he's still a really good price. But just to piggyback real quick on Jaden Daniels, I love the rushing upside. Like you said, I think he's my preferred quarterback in cash this week. Agreed.
Let's see. John, you got somebody on the list that I saw when I looked at the ownership. I saw him a little bit high on the ownership list, and I kind of I hesitated a little bit. But you got to sell me on this guy a little bit. Talk about your value here.
All right. Well, I'm going to start by quoting JJ Zachariason, okay? Because this is directly from him. He talked about it this week in his late round podcast, and I'm paraphrasing. Since the beginning of last season, only 3 quarterbacks have failed to post top 12 finish at the position against the Washington Commanders. And that was Josh Dobbs in week 1, Mac Jones, and Trevor Siemian. This week, they get Daniel Jones gets to take on the Commanders. I almost just called them the Redskins. What's happening?
Nice.
So, yeah, Daniel Jones looked, how do you say not good in French? He looked not good last week, okay? But we know he does have that upside with his legs, as long as he doesn't trip over grass like he did last season. The thing is, he's got to get it done with his arm, and if he can straighten up his arm against a really, really weak secondary and try to build that connection with Malik Neighbors, who we might talk about later on, I think he has the chance of having some success through the air as well. If there's a week to try to roll him out there in multiple lineups, like if you're running a bunch of lineups in one contest, put some Daniel Jones in a couple of them because the potential is there.
Yep, 100% agree. It's all about that defense, and Washington did not look good last week at all. All right, I got one last guy to mention that we hadn't talked about yet, and Justin Herbert at 5.8 really is the matchup. At Carolina. Carolina looked absolutely atrocious last week, both offensively and defensively. Just got blasted by the Saints. At 5.8, he's a good pivot off of the more popular Baker at 5.9. So if you're in tournaments and you wanted to sort of build a little bit differently, I think Harbaugh, his coach, came out this week and really hyped up Justin Herbert a little bit too. So he gets a little bit of that sort of that pub. I think they come out a little bit more passing this week. At 5.8, I like Justin Herbert a lot.
I would make fun of you right now, but I'm having a deja vu of your Sam Darnold call last week. So I'll just shut up.
I made fun of Sam Darnold. He came out. He was 12 for 12. He was leading the day in passing and had 2 touchdowns.
Bro, as soon as he went 12 for 12 in all my dynasty league that had Sam Darnold, I put him on the block. Everybody's like, "We see what you're doing here, G."
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move down into the tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right. You know what? Let me go ahead and we haven't done this in a while. We're going to double drop it.
Lock it in.
All right, John, you got your lock of the week here at tight end.
Yes, Trey McBride, big on him this week. It's a defense that largely kind of ignores the position and has for the last couple of seasons. They don't really spend as much time covering the tight end. So that's a good set for me. I like the volume. Trey McBride I think he finished with the second highest targets among the position last week. So that kind of work does pay off at some point. I know Kyler Murray wasn't going deep, but in a PPR scoring format, I'll take all the targets we can get. He could easily lead the position from a target standpoint this week. And I think he's one of the guys that if you're looking to place a bet on an anytime touchdown, Trey McBride has a strong shot at making that happen this week too.
Yeah, good call. Tim, what about you? What you got for one of your favorite guys here?
Yeah, I just want to real quick on John's comment. This is kind of like Gerson said, with all the value out there. This is kind of a play whatever you want kind of week, right? And I think the chalk is going to be paid down at tight end. So I love the idea of paying up this week. I think it's a great tournament strategy. I'm going to do the same thing with Sam Laporta, right? I feel like this is Tim Talks About the Lions show right now, but I mean, I love that contest this week. That's my favorite game of the week. I'm going to be stacking it a bunch of different ways. And one of those is definitely going to be Goff with Laporta, right? I just talked about it. Paying up a tight end, I don't think will be very popular. And if people do, it'll probably be for the third guy we haven't talked about yet. So I like going for one of these two guys instead.
Good stuff. Gerson, you got one more guy that we haven't talked about yet on your list. Talk about Mr. Brock Bowers.
Yeah. And dude, I'm not you already know this. In fantasy, I don't care about the Raiders. I care about money. So, Brock Bowers, man. He's basically the best tight end in the rookie class, and we know that he's probably going to be a top 3 tight end dynasty after this year. But the guy is straight out of Georgia, very talented, facing the Ravens. They're going to be playing from behind. I mean, I can see the Ravens going up pretty damn fast in the first 2 quarters. They're gonna have to pass the ball. Minshew looks like I don't even know how to say it. He looked like he was just out there, like, all right, let's see what I can do. Boom, boom. But it looked like really bad. But I was like, all right, he's just going to Brock Bauer. I mean, he had an 8 target, and he's not a tight end naturally. He's really just more like a slot wide receiver. He lined up in the slot quite a bit. He's gonna be playing Isaiah Likely is looking good out there. Oh yeah. But yeah, so it's gonna be Brock Bauer. They're gonna be playing from behind. The Ravens defense is stout. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna try to shut down Brock Bauer, they're gonna have to deal with like what's his name, Devontae Adam on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you got to mix your poison, but Bauer just naturally got open last week, and it looked really good. I mean, hey man, I'm not trying to start a war here. I mean, it's the Chargers defense, but Derwin James is very good at covering tight ends, as far as I know. So if he can get open against Derwin James, I'm pretty sure he can get open against the Ravens defense. But Brock Bauer is 4.4K. That's the biggest thing too. It's mid-range price, not too expensive, and we have a lot of value.
Yep, good stuff.
And they lined him up all over the formation just to hop in there for a second. He had the third most targets at the tight end position, and they lined him up all over the place,
everywhere,
which is really nice for the versatility factor. So I like that call a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, I have 2 guys on my list. I'll just mention Travis Kelce because we have to mention Travis Kelce. I know he's getting up there in age, but if you're playing Patrick Mahomes, it's a good bet. You want to play Travis Kelce as well. But I'll talk about another guy that I almost talked about last week, and I was pissed when he scored a touchdown that I didn't talk about him. But Chig Okonkwo at 4K going up against the New York Jets. That passing offense looked pretty bad thanks to Will Levis, but the fact of the matter is they don't have a whole lot of options in that passing game, and Chig Okonkwo is a good bet for a touchdown at 4K. So, I'm probably a week late because I wanted to call him out last week, but I'll take a chance on him again one more week at 4K. So he's my other favorite play besides Kelce. Let's move down into the salary savers here. John, why don't you kick us off with the guy that I played him in my Scott Fishbowl league last week because I had T. Higgins was out, and when he caught that touchdown, I was so excited, and then they called it back, and I was so pissed.
I know, I was too, because I had put on Twitter like this feels like a Mike Gesicki touchdown day, and he scored. I was watching Red Zone, and he scored, and I think it was Addison Hayes actually like responded to my tweet like, dude, you're a wizard. And I'm like, yeah. And then they called it back. Red Zone and moved on. So I had no idea.
They did.
Like, dude, they pulled it. So I didn't even know until a few minutes later. And someone on Twitter is like, dude, you're celebrating for no reason. And I'm like, dang it. Anyway, Gesicki, I liked Gesicki last week for a touchdown. I like him this week for a touchdown. I really do. He's always been a glorified big slot receiver. The last thing in the world you want is Mike Gesicki trying to block because he can't do it. Okay. What you do want is him operating in that big slot role. So I like Gesicki with Higgins being out, like you had mentioned. But I do think he represents one of the better red zone options. That's assuming that the Bengals remember how to get that far down the field.
Yeah. They forget what the point of the game is, right? Score touchdowns.
Jesus Christ, man. That's assuming Joe Burrow can hold a water bottle, everybody,
Yeah, right.
That was ridiculous, man. Like, come on.
Tim, you got another guy there that we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Parkinson is just the chalk this week, right? I mean, he ran the most routes for a tight end last week, and he's 3,100.
Yeah.
So to me, I mean, he's a no-brainer.
Straightforward. Yep, a no-brainer. I have Go ahead, Gerson.
A lot of people that don't know Kobe Parkinson, he's pretty athletic. Like, he's actually very talented. I think this is his breakout year, obviously. With no Tyler Higbee and all those players, the injury of Puka Nacua, I love this price. I'm going to have a lot of Kobe Parkinson and then Brock Bauer. Obviously, if you balance that out, you'll be open to pay up for running back and wide receiver more, But obviously, the Trey McBride, Sam Laporta calls are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think paying up at tight end is probably the way to go. I like Parkinson for cash because of the price. There's one guy that I almost put as my sit call, and I just wanted to talk about him, Theo Johnson at 2.6. He's almost bare minimum. He only had one catch for 18 yards last week, so you're like, why are you playing this guy? One, he's playing against Washington. Two, he played 86% of the snaps last week as a rookie tight end. He did have 4 targets. Unfortunately, he dropped 2 of them. So had he caught those 2 passes, and then the other one that wasn't caught was Daniel Jones just flat out missed him. He was wide open, flat out missed him. So if he had caught those 2 passes, I'll chalk it up to the rookie nerves. Maybe he's better in the second week, catches those 2 passes. And I think he can have a better game this week at 2.6. He is super.
I hope so, because I am starting him in Scott Fishbowl.
Yikes, that is scary.
With Jake Ferguson out,
yeah.
With that cost, you get so much roster versatility. Like you can afford to move up and grab someone else that you might have been little less likely to get. So I like that call from a cash game perspective, where you have some roster flexibility. So I like that a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, he doesn't got to do much to get his value, right? He just got to catch a couple passes, and he'll be golden. All right, let's get to our running backs.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, Tim, let's start with you this time.
Good. I'm glad you started with me, Jeff, because I want to talk about the Swiss cheese ass defense that we call the Green Bay Packers. They get absolutely crushed by any running back that's halfway decent. And then, Jordan Love, not going to play this week, or at least not expected to play, right? He's officially questionable. He's not going to play. Okay, spoiler alert, he's not going to play. And Jonathan Taylor is going to run all over this defense. So I think, Jeff, your lock of the week call may have been 1 week early. This is JT week. We have all the value if you want to pay up for him. The shocking thing for me is that I think there's going to be a bunch of other running backs around him that are going to be more like higher owned. And so he's going to come in at a lower percentage than I think he should in an absolute smash spot. So I'm going to be heavily on JT this week.
Yeah, I like how you started that. Swiss cheese defense, #not bitter, right?
Yeah.
you were bitter last week.
Dude, Saquon made it look easy. Like he just rolled out of bed and just ran all over him. So, yeah, I think JT can do it too.
Good stuff. All right, John, what do you got for one of your favorite plays here?
This one's going to be at this point, it's going to be a little chalky based on the price, but Zach Charbonnet is going to step into starter volume along with the role he's solidifying as the pass catching back in that offense. So at the 5.8K mark, you're going to kind of double dip because you're going to get starter type volume carry wise, and he's still going to get the targets. So I think it's a good opportunity to see Sharbs in a 3-down role. So the cost kind of mitigates the entire risk when you realize the opportunities he should face in that game. So yeah, I like that call for the price.
Yeah, good stuff. And just to go back to that Jonathan Taylor call, I went and looked at his projections, and I had to take my socks off to count this high, but he is RB19 as far as ownership. So you're right, Tim. He's not owned at all. So that's a great call there. If he can have a typical JT game, that's a smash spot right there.
That's a nice, just a side note there. That's when someone burns you the week before. So many people are so afraid to go back to them in the following week for their tournament lineups and stuff. And sometimes if you catch the right one, you catch lightning in a bottle. So being willing to take that risk on someone that disappointed the week before is not the way a lot of players do it. So it's a sharp move.
Good stuff. Gerson, I'm not going to hit the drop yet. I want you to talk about one of the other guys first.
So Breece Hall, I think his price is $7,500. That is so cheap for a running back that basically got all the work. He got 82%. He played 82% of the snap. He got 16 carries and caught 5 of his 6 targets last week. And to be honest, in this game, I think they should control it pretty well. $7,400, very cheap for me. The other thing is, if they go up, they're just gonna keep Breece out there. He's gonna get more carries. And he's gonna they need to make a statement in this game, because losing to the 49ers, they have what you would want to call Super Bowl aspiration, But I don't see it, It's like, all right, they're good, But I think Breece Hall's probably giving me the running back that I'm going to be paying up for if I do pay up for one. It's kind of hard this week because there's only 2 running backs I really want to pay up. I don't mind the Jonathan Taylor call. The thing that worries me about Jonathan Taylor, he had 0 targets.
Yeah,
Anthony Richardson runs the ball on 3rd down.
Or he throws it down the field, just chucks it up.
Yeah. He has yet to learn the term check down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's like, I see him. Oh, that pass was amazing, though. I will say that. I legit, I was eating and my jaw just dropped. And I had my food right here. My brother goes, "Are you going to eat that?" I'm like, "Did you see that? Incredible." But yeah, Brees Hall for sure for me against Tennessee. And the other thing I also look at, if that Jets defense gets a pick and they go to the goal line, they're going to go to Brees. So he has opportunities there too.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk about one of my other favorite guys. I've already talked about one of the Chiefs. If you want to pivot to a different route, you can go Isaiah Pacheco at 6.9 versus Cincinnati. Pacheco got a good workload in week one. It just didn't amount to a whole lot, but I do think that the Chiefs can go back to him again this week. 6.9 is a pretty good price for a guy that's getting most of the touches out of that backfield. So at 6.9 versus Cincinnati, I like Pacheco. I like a lot of Chiefs this week, actually, because when we get to the next position, I like one of those guys as well. So Pacheco is sort of a pivot off of the passing game, though. If you think it's going to be more of a run-heavy game plan, I like Pacheco here. I'll just mention a couple other guys here before we get to the value tier. We got Kyren Williams is on the sheets. Actually, you know what, Tim, you got Kyren Williams too. So why don't you talk about Kyren Williams a little bit? We got some time.
Yeah, well, two things on Kyren. One, he absolutely smashed Arizona in the same spot last year. It was a bad matchup for him last week, but this week it's much, much better matchup. He's basically getting all the touches. Blake Corum didn't see the field, right? It was a little bit of Ronnie Rivers, but it was most of all the Kyren show. So I do think that they are going to rely on Kyren more this week. So this is really a how many Rams can you stand in your lineup week. Right, because that's really where all the value is. So I know Jeff, right. Jeff wants to play all the Chiefs, but I think the value is all with the Rams.
Yep, I agree, 100%. All right, I hit the drop now, Gerson.
Lock it in.
For the record, Gerson's cheating on this one, but we'll let him take it. Go ahead, Gerson.
All right, guys. Everybody, listen up. Just come in really closely. All right, you guys ready? This is the lock of the week, like the year. Like, you can't get this wrong. I swear. If you don't click on this guy's name starting out your roster, just send me an invite to a matchup one-on-one. I don't even play cash game, but yeah, just send it to me. No, Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey's out. We saw what he did. What? Yeah. And he's out. Honestly, 28 carries, 28 or 28 touches? 28 carries, right? 28 carries, 150 yards or something like that. I can't remember the exact stat, but 47. I mean, he crushed it. He crushed it. And he had I'll be honest, my favorite thing of the first of like DFS is that whatever happened on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, we hope that we get something by that. And we're like, Jordan Mason, 5,600, And so Jordan Mason, running back for the 49ers, he's going to get the workload. It's going to be it's the 49ers. They're going to smash, I will say this. If you're not playing Jordan Mason this week, you are probably going to fall behind. I know that we've had this. He's 37% owned right now. Yeah. But the Minnesota Vikings, hey, Jared, I'm going to bring you back to earth, I know you're a big Minnesota Viking fan, but, hey, bud, these are the 49ers. They're going to come down. You know what? This matchup was awesome last year, too. Yeah, last year, I think it was a Monday Night Football game or a Thursday Night Football game. But it's a little different this year. You don't exactly have Kirk Cousins that's basically it, or whatever, I love Jordan Mason, 5.2K against Minnesota. While Minnesota did good week one, I don't expect that to repeat at all against the 49ers. 49ers are going to roll this game, man.
Agreed. Yeah. I do want to pop back up to favorite plays one time just because I want to hit the drop. King Henry. I saw John had Derrick Henry on his list there. Talk about Derrick Henry a little bit, John.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit less volume than what we're used to seeing for King Henry, but I tell you what, the guy is always a threat for a high volume count. He's built for it. He's always represents a scoring opportunity from just about anywhere, because when you get someone that big moving that fast, which should be illegal, by the way, all he needs is a little bit of room and a head of steam, and he's off to the races. I still think that this is a guy that could end up with close to 20 touchdowns during the course of the season.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a big blow-up game. It's going to happen soon, and what's Vegas going to do to stop him? You can't put Crosby everywhere, or not Crosby. What's his
Wilkin.
Yeah, you can't put him everywhere. So yeah, I like Derrick Henry this week. The price doesn't reflect his ceiling. So while I don't think it's necessarily a value at 6.7K, it is lower than what it's going to be the rest of the year when he pops off, and that could be this game.
Yep. 100% agree.
And I think more than anything, the two running backs that are around him in price are going to be much higher owned. So I think he's a great price pivot. Go ahead, Gerson. Sorry.
Can I add to that? So Lamar Jackson popped up on the injury report with soreness. So he had 18 carries, I think it was. No, he carried the ball 16 times last week. They're not going to do that again with him. They're going to be like, all right, let's go to Derrick Henry. They're going to pull out ahead. Why not? Why not just give it to the guys you just paid for and just let him take the rock, you know? And the other thing is, when Henry feasts, it's always when he's at home and when they're favored. They're favored, that's for sure. But I love the call. John.
Yeah, I was just going to say this is the perfect Henry game script right here.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
All right, just to mention a couple guys that we didn't get to, I had James Conner on my list, obviously getting a full workload. We saw what David Montgomery did to the Rams this past week. They didn't even throw the ball in overtime. He just handed it to David Montgomery. I think Conner can be similar. Another offensive line is not quite as good as the Lions. And I also like Ramondre Stevenson, too, at 6.2. Tim, we'll move down into the salary savers here. What you got for your salary saver besides Jordan Mason?
Jordan Mason, to me, it's J.K. Dobbins, and I actually love the lineups that you can create with Jordan Mason and J.K. Dobbins. So he didn't get the start last week. It went to Gus Edwards, but he was clearly the more effective running back. And John, you are rocking the Charger hat, so I'll turn this over to you. But I don't see how they don't lean on J.K. Dobbins in this spot. He clearly looks like the more explosive player to me. And we play running backs against Carolina, right? Like, that's just what we do. We saw Alvin Kamara absolutely tear them up. I think they gave up 180 yards last week. So to me, at 5,400, like, you just lock him in with Jordan Mason and just fill out the rest of your lineup with studs.
Yeah, I like that call a lot. Actually, it's funny because I get the NFL Plus package every year, so I can watch the condensed games because I work on Sundays and can't watch all the games, so I get to watch the condensed games. Well, this year they came up with this NFL Pro Pack where you get all the stats from Next Gen Stats that you can look at, and they listed all of the fastest plays this past weekend.
Yes.
J.K. Dobbins was the fastest player on the field. Yeah, that is crazy. So he is fully healthy as of right now, so I think it's a great call at 5.4 for sure.
Knock on wood, everybody. Knock on wood right now.
Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, and by the way, last thing I'll add to that is that the Chargers look like picking Joe Alt was just chef's kiss because he was just moving people.
He was against Matt Crosby and Kristen Wilkin, and for like 19 protect. What do you call it? Like 19 down. And 0 pressure, 0 sack, just filthy. I mean, and I'm a Raiders fan, so to say that, it hurts my feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude is everything as advertised.
Yes.
All right, John, what you got for your salary saver?
I just want to go back to J.K. Dobbins for one quick second. As much as I loved it, and I was really pleased by seeing the explosiveness, remember that J.K. Dobbins being healthy is just a pre-injured condition.
That's true.
Just putting that out there. Okay, my value this week is Najee Harris, actually.
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest, he wasn't super effective last week, but he had the volume. His 20 carries were the 5th most last week. And here's what's important about that. He had 20 carries in a game in which Justin Fields had 14. Yeah. So even with Justin Fields rushing more than what Justin Fields normally rushes, they still fed Najee 20 carries.
Yep.
So that to me is a really, really good sign about his involvement in the offense. That trend should continue against the Broncos defense, allowed Ken Walker to gain 103 rushing yards and a score on 20 carries last week. It's also encouraging to see that he was running routes. comparable. I think he
Yes.
actually ran a few more routes than Jalen Warren did last week. Now, Warren's coming back from injury, so they might be easing him back in. But just seeing the fact that they're using him in both sides of the offense as far as, running routes and whatnot, he has volume-based upside for the 5-point price tag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Good call. Gerson, what you got for your value saver?
For running back,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got Jordan Ford there.
Jordan Mason again, dude. Like, how many times? Dude, how do you want me to do this? Best play, best value, and then I put him 3 times on the sheet. Like, what more do you want, man? Like, what am I? Nah. So I will say this: I do believe that Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, and Dobbin will be chalked this week. That Charbonnet ownership hasn't gone up yet, but it will by Sunday when people start realizing, oh, I can make this roster. Oh my goodness, it looks good.
Yeah.
It all looks good and dandy. Trust me, I've been playing DFS now for like I have to say at least 10 years.
2015. That's when I started the same year you did.
Yeah.
And for the record, RG has the Zach Charbonnet updated. He's the third highest owned behind Jordan Mason and Breece Hall right now.
Yeah.
So that ownership's moving up.
Yeah,
So
we need
it's
that
gonna.
to go up.
I mean, you can make a lot of rosters out of this, but I love all the values and everything, but again, just Jerome Ford, I think could be a good pivot. Jerome Ford, he did have that late touchdown last week, but to me, if I have to get difference in value, I'm going to Ford. Ford for me against the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is not good at all. Like I think it's medium, like mid range, but uh, Deshaun Watson looks awful.
Yeah.
And they're going to rely more on the running game in this game. I think they're going to try to keep Trevor Lawrence and that offense off the field and play defense. I think they finally realize, hey, Deshaun Watson, we paid you too much and we invested too much. Now we're going to have to hide you, and the way you do it is through the running game. And this is the way the Cleveland, I almost call them the Cleveland Cavaliers. Holy crap. The Cleveland Browns had done it for last year when they had Nick Chubb. And Ford is a tremendous running back. I think Ford can take over the whole Nick Chubb thing stuff. But 5.9K as a pivot for me, away from all the owners, from Dobbin, Mason, and Charbonnet, I'm willing to take the risk. I think he's more of a GPP play, though. Don't play him in cash game at all. Dude, don't do it.
Agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have one more pivot in that same range, and that's Brian Robinson Jr., who, they did go out and sign Austin Eckler, but this guy still caught passes. He had 4 targets, caught 3 of them for 49 yards, had 12 carries for 40 yards. That game got kind of away from them, so they couldn't keep going to him. But against the Giants, I do like B-Rob a lot this week, so he's my salary saver. All right, let's get to the receivers.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, I'm going to double drop it.
Lock it in.
All right, Tim, kick us off here. Lock of the week.
Yeah, it's Cover Boy, Cooper Kupp, man. Again, this is one of those things where the pricing didn't quite update with it being a Sunday night game, with Puka being out. He saw 21 targets. That's not even a real number. 7,600. I mean, this guy should be, when he was prime Cooper Kupp, he was 9,000 at least every week. One of the things that I saw last week that was really encouraging was that they ran the most motion, I think, of any team in the league. When the Rams were at their height, they ran the most motion in the league. Cooper Kupp was targeted on 12 routes where he ran in motion. So he's as close to 21 Cooper Kupp as we've seen in a long time. And if you would have told me I could get that guy at 7,600, he is just locked into my lineup. So Gerson said it earlier, all of my lineups this week come preloaded with 2 players, Jordan Mason and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, love it. And I'll just piggyback right off of that because my lock of the week is also wide receiver, and that's Mr. Rashee Rice. We talked about how much I love the Chiefs. I'm stacking Patrick Mahomes. It hurts me as a 49ers fan to be betting on the Chiefs, but Rashee Rice put all of his legal troubles behind him. He looked great in week 1. Patrick Mahomes was going to him consistently. We saw the Bengals get chewed up last week against a very bad team. So at 6.7, I like Rashee Rice. It's a good stack with Patrick Mahomes as well. So he is also my lock of the week. So we got 2 locks of the week here at wide receiver. We'll go to you next, John. What do you got for one of your favorite plays here?
I really like Chris Godwin this week.
Yeah.
I like Godwin. I like Mike Evans too, but what I like about Godwin is $6,000 and Evans is 7,500. So
Yep.
give me the production, give me that slot usage, give me all of that short yardage stuff and let him create the space for himself. He's got PPR appeal, and he's going to be, I'm not going to say less chalky, but gives me a little bit more money to operate elsewhere. So I really like Chris Godwin this week at the 6K mark.
Love it. Gerson, you wrote down every receiver that's on the slate, so pick one of those guys.
Hey man,
Spicy.
so I want to give a shout out to a guy that we all know. His name is Asante Wilson. He's actually watching right now. He's messaging me and everything. But the guy he said, "Hey, special shout out, love you guys. You guys are amazing. Like this guy is awesome, though." I went out to a Raiders game with him. So, I went out to visit him first. But anyways, so yeah, I have a lot of wide receivers, but the thing is, to me, I feel like CD Lamb is getting no love.
Yes.
Like we're over here talking about Cooper Kupp. I mean, I'm gonna let Jeff have to talk about his boy or Rasheed Rice, and I get that CD Lamb's 8.8K, but against the New Orleans Saints, and I believe they're banged up a little bit. So to me, Dak Prescott is gonna have to pass the ball. I do believe this. CD Lamb, with the value we had, could be this week's Tyreek Hill, where he gets 32 points and whatnot. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's gonna get 25, 28. But with the value we had, if you can make it work to fit Cooper Kupp and CD Lamb, there are some good values. Obviously, I'll give you a hint. Matthew Stafford and his cheap weapons, with his Kupp and Parkinson. I created a couple rosters like that. But to me, CD Lamb is Zeke Elliott is washed, terrible. Everybody that believes in Ricky Dowdle, what's his name?
Dowdle.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, okay, whatever. And then I love Brandon Cooks though. That guy's I'm always gonna give him respect. The guy hey, I'll show up for my job and I'll just do it. But the biggest thing is we saw it. Schoonmaker's probably gonna start. Ferguson's out. They're gonna go to CD Lamb. They're gonna pepper him with target. And I wouldn't be shocked if CD Lamb gets 120 yards and 2 touchdowns this game.
Yeah, I love it. Good call.
Yeah. I'll just add he averages 29 points at home. So if you needed another reason to play CD Lamb.
Nice.
Yeah, we all need reasons to slot the lineup, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tim, you got anybody else? You mentioned Kupp already, but anybody else on that list you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to go with your boy Debo. Yeah, Debo Samuel, man. Everybody's playing Jordan Mason. I'm going to go the other way. Minnesota Vikings played 84% zone defense in week 1. The zone killer is Debo Samuel. And the one thing we saw last week is that they will use him out of the backfield as well. Maybe not as much. But if you're telling me he's going to get even 5 to 6 carries along with 7-8 targets at 6,800, I think he's a great value. I think I love Rasheed Rice. I love some other guys in that range, but to me, Debo's got that 40-point upside if he really smashes. So yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Debo this week.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's ironic that Debo slimmed down this offseason because we didn't use him much in the backfield last year. So he's like, I'm going to slim down and be faster. And then, week 1, they're using him in the backfield almost all the time. So
immediately, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny to see.
Hey, that's fine. Debo Achane, that works for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So the only guy I have on my list that we hadn't talked about, I mentioned him earlier, Terry McLaurin. I know he burned a lot of us last week. Yeah, he was pretty terrible last week. But at 5.7 against the Giants. And someone in the chat mentioned, let's see if I can find that comment there. I didn't realize this, but it's actually his birthday on Sunday. So, I don't know how much that plays into how well he does, but I'll take the narrative on the birthday there. So it's his birthday on Sunday.
I
Give me
know.
give me a
Jeff
touchdown
loves a
for my
good
birthday.
narrative. I love it.
Yeah. Give me a birthday on my give me a touchdown on my birthday for sure. There's one more guy I want to talk about, and it's because I want to hit the drop here. I wanted to go to John's last guy. It's the squeaky wheel, right? Neighbors came out and was very critical of his quarterback situation and said, "I don't know what's going on back there." So talk about Malik Neighbors a little bit.
Yeah. First of all, I want to mention that as of earlier today, I think I got the notification he was off the injury report. So that's good. Yeah. And yeah, we got the squeaky wheel factor. We know what this guy is capable of, at least from a college tape standpoint, which was nothing short of impressive. I believe he's one of those guys that can hit the ground running in year one. The cost is good at 5.9K. Here's the big caveat is, can Daniel Jones get him the ball? And I believe that after I know after the criticism last week and in a really good matchup against Washington, whose secondary sucks.
So bad.
I love this. The cost is good. The matchup is better. And I think he's an upside pick for tournament play because people are going to feel burned by last week. People are going to want to associate themselves with Daniel Jones. Like, I think there's a lot there that's going to reduce ownership and make him a really, really good tournament play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it. I wanted to make sure I get him.
Can I add to Daniel Jones and like maybe the Malik Neighbor, like the whole game environment?
So arm to Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm adding to Daniel Jones. So last year he had a shitty week one. Week two, he won the Millie Maker. Like, he was the top quarterback.
Daniel Jones, lock it in.
Daniel Jones. So, like, I'm not saying he's going to win the Millie Maker this week because I will play my nephew before I play him. But I'm just saying, like, it could happen. Malik Neighbor, Daniel Jones, stack, and all that. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. If I lose, I lose.
Yeah, I love it. All right, let's move down.
If he can't do it now, he'll never be able to do it.
Yeah,
right. This is the week in which you can start him with anything resembling confidence.
100%.
Correct.
I didn't say confidence. I said something resembling confidence. Just for clarification.
All right, let's move down to salary savers here. Tim, what you got?
I honestly can't believe that I have this guy on my list because coming into the season, I did not believe this guy had it, that he was not an NFL player, and boy, was I wrong. Jameson Williams. Like, I think that was one of the big stories in week one for me, is that this dude maybe finally is going to break out. You know, Josh Reynolds leaving this year, that Detroit was really looking for their number 2 wide receiver. Everybody said, oh, it's just going to be Sam Laporta, but last week, it was kind of the Jameson Williams show. That was his coming out party. And now he gets to match up against Tampa Bay. So he is limited. I do expect him to play at 5,300. I mean, we could seriously talk about a guy who could win you the week at 5,300. And you know, we talked about Baker. We talked about Godwin. We talked about Jammo. I mean, you put those 3 guys in the lineup, add any value, and you can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. 100%.
That's one of my favorite stacks this week for sure.
Good stuff. I'll go next here. I got so if somebody asked you without looking at a stat sheet who led the Cardinals in targets last week, you're probably thinking, what, Marvin Harrison, was it Trey McBride?
Light the torch
in yards. Yeah, the team in yards. Was it Trey McBride? No, it was
Light the torch.
Greg Dortch at 4.6 led the team in all categories except for receptions. He was one short of the team lead in receptions.
We know he's short, dude. Don't insult him like that.
Says the guy that put his name so tiny in the show sheet. We can read it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you get like a full point out of him and Kyler Murray?
Yeah,
I wish Kyler Murray would get a little bit shorter every time he missed a pass. That'd be hilarious.
I put in my Fantasy Pros article that I think that Kyler Murray throws to Dortch because he's the only guy he can see eye to eye with.
He can see,
yeah. So, Greg Dortch at 4.6. We love Dortch on this show. We talk about him all the time. I know Jared's a big Dortch guy too, so I wanted to make sure to get him into the show sheet. John, what you got for your salary savers here?
Yeah, this one's kind of a reach, and you know what? Let's face it. In a tournament setting, you want the occasional reach. AD Mitchell for the Colts. Like, I like him at 4K. He narrowly missed 2 touchdowns last week.
Oh, dude.
here's the deal. I'm a Chargers guy. I know what it's like to watch someone who's big, athletic, and all those things, but doesn't have hands. Let me tell you something. A.D. Mitchell is not Quentin Johnston. He's all right with hands. He's got hands. So I don't think he's going to continue missing on these big connections. He's got the quarterback to ball deep. He's got the speed to take the top off of defense. He's got that big body, that hyper athleticism. I really, really, really like him at 4K. I mean, if you really want that long shot in the tournament and you're doing multiple lineups, 4K is no risk. That's what 4K is.
I love it. Tim had him as the sick call of the week last week.
I did.
Missed him on
twice.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize, or I wouldn't have put that in as my dude.
I know. And I had him in my
I wasn't trying to
lineup.
insult you, I promise.
I did. I had Anthony Richardson and A.D. Mitchell in my spy lineup last week, man. I was dying. I was absolutely dying. I think we have to talk about DeMarcus Robinson. I think he's one of the chalk plays this week at value. Obviously, with Puka out, we saw he did pretty well last year when given opportunity. And, Sean McVay likes this guy. He's playing like 90% of snaps. So I think for me, he's one of the safest value plays on the week, not named Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that one.
Yeah, agreed.
And we'll just mention that you had Lazard there as well at 3,300 on your sheet as well.
Yeah, that Monday misprice.
I will say this, though. I've looked at a lot of different sites about ownership on those type of players. For some reason, I thought the same thing, too. Like, I'm like, why not? But DeMarcus Robinson is only on a Roto-Grinder. He's only 5% owned.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know.
I just think by Sunday it'll creep up, right? That's what we're thinking.
It's got to be.
And then there's another wide receiver that's pretty under-owned in that game too. But
we'll talk about him later.
Yeah, we'll get to him. Wait, real quick, we do have a question. We don't get a lot of questions from the chat, but we do have one here. He wants to know Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield in a large field GPP. John, what you got? Which of these two do you like better?
Well, I'm going to lean Murray there, and it's because he offers value with his legs that Mayfield doesn't offer. When Mayfield takes off running, it looks like a giraffe on a tricycle. It's elbows and knees and awkward. So Murray has a little bit more value baked in with what he can do with his legs, which we see that. We even saw it last week. He had 48 rushing yards or something like that, 44, something in that range. So because you get the additional value of the leg work, I mean, he could run for a touchdown and throw for 2 more. So I'm going to give the slight edge there to Murray.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our defenses now.
Defense.
John, I know you're new to the show, but Tim is our defensive guru. We always go to Tim first on the defense here.
Yeah, so last week I advocated paying $3,400 for the Bears defense. This week I'm advocating paying $3,400 for the Chargers defense. I didn't know John was a Chargers fan. I'm just rocking all the Chargers today. But again, it's Bryce Young, right? We talked about it in the chat last week. This guy is a JV quarterback at the NFL level. He makes Kyler Murray look like a superstar. It's just easy. I mean, I don't know how you like. I like to pay up for defense. I know it's not always the chalky thing to do, but to me, when you have a good defense, because they looked pretty good against Las Vegas last week.
Yep.
And I think I think Bryce Young is probably going to put up less than Gardner Minshew did. So I don't know.
He looked atrocious,
especially if you're playing Dobbins. I love that stack.
Yeah, that's a good call. John, we'll go to you next. What do you got for your defense?
Well, I mean, I was going to say the Chargers, not for homer reasons, but for everything that Tim just said. So we'll move on to another one I really like for the money at 3.1K. You've got Cleveland Browns facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that team did not look cohesive last week. I believe that the defensive front the Browns have to offer is going to put constant pressure up the middle on Trevor Lawrence. I believe there's going to be a turnover in this game, and a pick six would not surprise me. And it's going to be at the line. It's not going to be deep downfield.
Yeah, I like that call. Gerson, what you got for your defense?
So if you guys know me, I've always said don't pay up for defense. I've always said that. I don't pay up for defense, and I don't pay up for tight end unless it's like in my stack. But this week I'm actually paying up for defense, and it hurt me. I'm paying up for the Baltimore Ravens defense. At home versus the Raiders, Minshew. He's going to throw 2 picks, and they're gonna say Aiden O'Connell week next week. That's what they're gonna do. And Antonio Pierce, you're a dumbass, dude. Like you can't even manage a freaking call. Dude. You need to
Fandom.
call a time. You need to call a timeout when. Oh no, not timeout. You need to go for it instead of punting it with 7 minutes left. Like I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like,
Dude, one of the worst punts of all time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like the fact that I saw that, I'm like, dude, you are an NFL head coach. Made me realize,
Yeah.
good job, Raiders. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. So
It was borderline fireable. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
The announcers are like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we punting right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so give me the Ravens 327K. But I will say this: the reason why I always say don't pay up for defense because you can't find value like we're finding right now in week 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I want to shout out real quick. I can't believe Dr. Barry McCockiner found his way into our chat tonight. But Malik Willis is the best value. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah, like I know the Packers have a sweet. No, just don't do it. Okay, they're going to be behind, and he's going to run, and he's going to give you 7 fantasy points at 5K. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you have to play somebody cheap, play Justin Fields at least.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. You guys know Asante I was talking early on, right?
Yeah.
And before there was Brian, there was Asante. And he said Justin Field is going to win the Millie Maker. I don't know, man.
Play Justin Fields over Malik Willis, okay? Do not play Malik Willis unless you hate money.
All right, so as y'all know, I like to punt the defense. So everybody here seems to be wanting to pay up for defense. So I will punt the defense, and I'm going to take the Saints defense at Dallas.
Yeah.
And the reason why, so I would like to punt defenses against teams that are going to pass the ball a lot because I want sacks and I want turnovers. More so than the score of the game. If they can get sacks and turnovers, and the way you can do that is if you're passing a lot. And Dallas Cowboys is one of the most pass-heavy teams out there. So give me the Saints at 2.4. I'll save some of that cash there to pay off for the other guys that I have here. Last week I went Panthers. That burned me, obviously. I didn't think the Saints were going to be a juggernaut like they were. But at 2.4, I'll pay for the Saints defense at Dallas this week. And I will mention, I think the Colts are going to be at least according to RG, are going to be the highest owned defense, basically because of the reason that Jordan Love's not going to be there. But I don't love that quite as much because Malik Willis is probably going to run the ball a lot, right? They're going to be super conservative.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is going to touch it 30 times.
Exactly. So
that's the game plan.
I don't love the defense because of that reason, because it's just not going to be an opportunity for turnovers and sacks for sure. All right, let's get to our stacks.
GoingFor2.com's weekly stack report.
All right, Tim, we'll go to you. I think you kind of mentioned your stack earlier, I believe, but we'll go ahead and go to you first.
I did not mention the Chiefs D during the defense segment. If it's one of those situations where probably one of my favorite stacks, if you will, this week, the Bengals are just bad. We talked about it earlier. I think that they are going to get absolutely blown out in Kansas City this week. And I think this is going to turn into an Isaiah Pacheco game. But I think it's going to, like you just talked about, what do we want? Teams that are going to be in a bad situation and have to drop back to pass 30 or 40 times. That's what's going to happen to Joe Burrow. And we've seen he's thrown interceptions. They've been careless with the football. That sets up a perfect situation for this Chiefs defense, which has been pretty good, right? Definitely improved. So, yeah, I mean, if you're telling me that the Chiefs defense ends the week as the number 1 defense, I'm not shocked at all. And I think Pacheco is a great pivot off some of the other higher priced running backs in that area.
I love it. John, what you got for your stack of the week?
It's a kind of a mix and match, and I think I've kind of alluded to it throughout the course of the show so far, but I really like Kyler Murray this week in a combination of either Trey McBride or James Conner, or if you really want to get cute with it, you can go McBride and Conner, and that way you're securing the touches one way or the other, whether they be targets or whether they be rushing opportunities. But I think operating within that stack and maybe switching it up in multiple lineups is advantageous this week based on cost versus upside. I still think McBride could end this week with the amount of targets he gets as the overall tight end 1. So I really like a stack involving those 3 in some order or another.
Yeah, I like it. I went ahead and changed my stack because I saw Gerson stole mine. The king of not reading the show sheet. He took my stack. It's all right.
First off, I didn't steal it. I just have a wider stack, you know.
You did. You had one extra person on there. I'll let you take that stack, and I'll do mine. I went the opposite way of what John just mentioned. I went Stafford, Cup, and McBride. I think you can get a lot of those higher price guys if you go with this stack. Is Cup is fairly cheap, Stafford's fairly cheap. You pay down for Jordan Mason, you pay down for J.K. Dobbins. You can really get some good studs in there. So I'll go Stafford, Cup, and McBride for my stack. And Gerson's stealing my thunder here. I talked about these guys all night, but I'll let him take this stack here. What you got, Gerson?
Oh, sorry. Kick me off the show. Fire me. No, so yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, and Chase. I mean, you can fit this with the value we have. You just have to their defense you got to pay down for. Honestly, I was kind of shocked. I might be wrong. You guys didn't mention the Green Bay Packers defense, did you?
No.
Anthony Richardson can do some turnover. They're 2,600.
Yeah,
they're very cheap, but you can fit him in, Kobe Parkinson in. I mean, I don't want to do double tight end though, so I'm not gonna do that. But I'm just saying this game has gone under a lot, but I think this is the game where Joe Burrow. You can't hold a water bottle and this and that, and they look bad. They know they look bad last week against the Patriots. They're going to come out here, and while Jeff thinks they're going to get blown out, was it you, Jeff, that said that? It was you, right?
No, I don't think I said they were going to get blown out.
No, who said the Bengals were going to? Yeah, you, Tim.
Hey, it's over.
I don't think they're going to go. I think it's going to be a good game. And
I will take that bet.
What are you betting? A shot?
I don't know. Sure.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, that's my stack. I honestly, I can't believe that Patrick Mahomes was 7,000. I have not seen that since he was in his prime. I don't. He's always been like 8,000, 7,900
at least. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, it's time for our sick call.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, so the three hosts on the show all missed on their sick calls last week. I had Darnell Mooney. Tim missed on 2 touchdowns for A.D. Mitchell.
Oh.
Yeah, Taysom Hill was a no-go for Gerson. However, Garrett smashed it with Rashid Shaheed last week.
Who that?
Yeah, he's the Saints fan, so he smashed it. So let's go ahead and kick off this week's sick call. We'll go to you first, John.
I'm probably going to get buried for this. I'm going back to the well with Andre Yoshirash. I can't get away from what this guy is going to be when this offense runs like it's supposed to run. That he's going to slide into basically that Tyler Boyd role. He's going to operate out of the slot. He's going to run the middle. I love that. It didn't work last week, and like a dog returning to his vomit, here I am putting Yoshivas back in lineups.
I like that. I like this saying, a dog returning to his vomit. I like that.
Yeah. That's stuff. Always fun.
Oh, right. Boy.
Gerson, what you got for your sick call this week?
I'm still laughing at his joke. It's hilarious. No, I mean, Tyler Johnson. A lot of people don't know who he is. Obviously, nobody did. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He got cut, went to the Rams. But I've always said this: if there's anybody that can make a wide receiver look relevant, it's Sean McVay. And he's 3.3K, right? I believe.
Yeah, it's 3.3. Just pulled him up.
3.3K. Demarcus Robinson's 4,000. I'm gonna go with the lower ownership on him, and this game's gonna be a shootout. We know this, but the thing is, it's just roster construction could go so many ways this week. And if I'm gonna go like on a value that's gonna be low owned, I'm gonna go with Tyler Johnson and get different. Yeah. Because I believe right now he's at 5.7% ownership.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go with him. I'm not gonna say he can have a big game, but when you go with like lower ownership, you want to go with all right. DeMarcus Robinson's gonna get ownership by Sunday. I guarantee you that. But there's Tyler Johnson, and he's $700 less.
Yeah.
Take a gamble, you know. Hey guys, to be honest, Taysom Hill, he did drop that touchdown in the end zone. It could have been a sick call.
Could have been a sick call for sure.
Yeah.
Tim, what you got?
Yeah. So, as we all do, Wednesday, Thursday, right? We're making lineups. And I had a lineup I absolutely loved, but I was $200 over. And I dropped Kobe Parkinson down to Luke Schoonmaker, and it all fit. So I'm going to have at least one lineup, probably multiple. But the one thing I like here is that the Cowboys are a system team when it comes to tight end. They had Dalton Schultz. He left. They had Jake Ferguson. He left. Luke Schoonmaker is going to be in the same spot. He's not going to give you 7-8 targets. He's probably going to get you 4 or 5, okay? But at 2,900, that's all you need because Dak likes to target his tight ends in the red zone. So if I'm looking to pivot off Parkinson chalk, I'm going to save $200 to another guy I expect to get similar volume at a much lower percentage.
I love it. Great call. All right, so my guy, I'm going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to take the rookie, Jalen McMillan, who had 3 targets last week. One of them he caught for a touchdown. One of them, Baker just overthrew him. He was wide open. Probably could have scored on that one. And one of them he dropped that he could have also probably scored on as well. So I'll take those 3 targets at 3.6 and hope that, he turns a couple of them into touchdowns or some big plays. I think the Bucs have finally found their wide receiver 3 with Godwin and Evans, of course, being the 1 and 2. So I think they finally found their guy at 3.6 against Detroit. I will take that chance and make him my sick call of the week, and hopefully for my dynasty lineups as well, because I've got him in a bunch of dynasty lineups on my taxi squad. So I got a little bit of emotional investment in him as well. So Jalen McMillan is my guy this week.
Nobody knows what taxi squad is, Jeff.
I have confidence that our audience knows what Taxi Squad is. They're not just DFS guys. They play Dynasty too.
Oh, I'm just joking, dude.
True degenerates. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
It's
It's 11:45 on the East Coast. Trust me, if they're still watching the show, they know what Taxi Squad is.
Not people.
Agreed.
All right, that wraps up the show, fellas. Once again, great show, John. I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome job, sir. We'll go to you first, man. Give us your Twitter handle one more time and plug anything you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's at John_Hesterman. You can find me there. I look much better in that profile picture, which took about 37 takes to get. So enjoy that eye candy while you can before I get fat and old. And yeah, I will have I think Sunday morning, my DFS values article will publish on Fantasy Pros. And keep an eye on Twitter for anything stupid that might fall out of my face.
All right, good stuff. Tim.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Keto DFS, and most weeks you can find me in Facebook in the DFS Roundtable group. It's where we usually post all of our information. Find us there.
Good stuff. From Gerson.
Yeah, you can find me where Tim said, and you can find me at Bad Season DFS. And here on this show every week.
Absolutely. As always, guys, you can find me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I want to thank these guys once again for spending an hour with me, and thank everybody in the chat. We have some really good chatter in the chat tonight, so really appreciate y'all staying up late with us, and good luck this weekend for Tim.
Hey, last thing, if you're still watching on YouTube, give this video a like. We get a lot of views, but not enough likes, so please give this video a like if you're still watching.
Smash the like button for me, and next time I'll do the whole thing shirtless.
Yes, sir. I like that.
I love it. All right, fellas. For Tim, for John, for Gerson, I'm Jeff. We'll see y'all next week, and good luck.